Hello everybody, did this make it better? And today we're doing What If Deku Was a Mutant Part 6. Almost said 5. Anyway, I have no excuse. Let's just get into it. I'm hoping it'd be 30 or even an hour. Either one I'm very happy with. With all of that said, here we go. Now since Zuku didn't really go in and help out in the entrance exam exactly, Bakugo was up first, up in the middle and talking to people. And since he wasn't as angry as original, he still says the line that he's gonna beat everybody and he's gonna be the number one, and leaves. Everybody thinks he's arrogant, but some class 1A's actually clap with that. They thought he would go and make it worse, but I guess it was another day. Up in the box where President Mike is talking about everything and what's going to be coming up, as well as the director of this whole thing is going to be for this year, Miss Midnight. As well, some crowds and some people are saying that the first years are so lucky to go have a teacher like that and other stuff. Zuku kind of understands what they mean, and well, everybody else does. They know, but they don't care. Anyway, it was announced the first one will be an obstacle race. Everybody was getting ready. Zuku stays in the back, and well, President Mike asked Aizawa, what are they going to need to look for in the first race? As the buzzer goes and everybody's running, he says the door. Everybody's getting crammed up, and Zuku is seeing all this and did not want to go into that. So he decided to bring out his smaller wings. I believe this one, but way smaller, where at the point where they can barely tell if it's there or not. And anyway, Zuku is making sure that they're black, where they can't see anything. He basically jumped on somebody's face or shoulders and just ran, and then start flying for a few feet, just picking up speed to a point where he can make it to the other side and erase his quirk. The moment that he just barely got out, a huge wall of ice came through the whole thing, covering up the walls, but not the exit, and covering the floors. Basically caught everybody, but not the class 1 or class B, class A and B, basically, and smaller ones. Everybody got out and made it out alive, but for Zuku, he was ahead of everybody, and Bakugo is looking forward and seeing that he's getting further behind, and just from the first obstacle. But when the robots came by, Bakugo took care of it. Toroki took care of this, as he froze the dang robot. And Zuku did something even more sneakier. He went down on the very floor and waited until the first step came by. Zuku took this chance and basically run under the foot as it was moving. It was crazy, and there were some cameras watching the first second of him and disappears out of nowhere. As it goes on, everything in canon happens. Zuku, on the other hand, is going in first, but in the shadows, where it's hard to tell if he's there or not. When it gets to everybody has been struggling on the canyon, per se. Zuku took this a chance and see how far he can actually fly with the smallest amount of rings. As he was gathering up speed just to jump, as he jumped up and was barely able to step on the next pillar. he did not like this, so he, well, whatever space he has on that one pillar, he ran, jumped, used his wings, going all the way towards about 6 inches on both wings. That's the much he can do, just to give him lift. And no one can really tell what he's wearing because they're not focusing on him. They're focusing on themselves, and the cameras can't even keep up with him. Zuku is actually soaring, but not so much. He can't flap correctly, so he kind of like stumbles at the edge of the exit and just like rolls and get himself back up and start running. When he gets to the landmines, by this point he was actually picking up speed faster and faster and trying to finish this thing as fast as possible. Now the reason why he is not fully using his, powers, is because he promised Nezu that he won't use his full strength in this first or few rounds, because, his goal is to be an underground hero. So if people know about his quirk, it goes bye-bye. It make it harder for people, for him to fight against them. I mean, he doesn't care, but Nezu told him not to use all of his tricks at the first obstacle race. Anyway, my hair is falling out. Oh well. Zuku noticed all of this and decided to actually slow down, take his time on these landmines, because he doesn't want it to make any explosions. At this point, he's around in the middle point, and he's just being way too careful. Sadly, that's when Bakugo and Toroki is coming through. Toroki making a path of ice with his foot and just leading away, and Bakugo is flying with his quirk as fast and trying to pass Todoroki this whole time, at least trying to take second. And when they finally saw that Zuku was there, they passed right back by him, and the cameras points to Zuku. Zuku did not like this at all, and he knows where these cameras are, and he's trying to look away or not do anything, but it's too late. And he really hates losing, so he decides to do something else. He's running, and he's not caring if he hit any landmines. He's going to run as fast as he can towards them, but sadly they're going faster and faster, further, just slowly making the distance go further away. And Zuku really doesn't want to do this, but he doesn't want to lose more. So he sprout out one tail and start to roll like a cartwheel, with his tail itself shielding all the explosions. And the explosion itself, the landmines, are actually pushing him further and further, to a point where it looks like he is leaning the cloud of smoke right behind him, and as it goes, it was going actually faster and faster. It's starting to hurt, but he didn't mind it as much. As he kept rolling, he passed them both and hit some landmines, which made them both, not knowing, get pushed back to the walls, one on the right, one on the left. As they got this and see the cloud of smoke coming out of nowhere and still going all the way to the end of the landfield, they really need to focus on beating Zuku more than actually against each other, since he's the most threat. So they're running and flying. And then Zuku wins. First place. He looks over to the spot of Nezu's area, and Nezu just give a emoji of a blank face. Not caring, but not liking it how it goes. Zuko's giving him a signal in sign language saying sorry. And then Zuko is going back. Just go halfway. Which Zuko takes it in and said, oh, okay. Well, that's one. It's gonna be harder for me to fight. Oh well. But after that, Toroki and Bakugo are talking to Zuko all at once. Basically just saying that he's gone too fast, his quirk was too much. And what's the deal of not using all your tails? And Zuko said, I just didn't need it. Now the rest are coming by, and the little scene of Momo carrying, well, Manila on her back was a bit annoying. And Zuko saw this, and well, he kind of smacks Manila off of her, which Manila didn't really care because he had a chance and he took it. And Momo looks over to Zuko and said, thank you. And Zuko said, yeah, I would hate to carry someone like that too. Alright. Oh look, midnight's coming out. Yes, midnight is coming out. Momo wanted to talk a little bit more, but couldn't think of anything because she was so tired. Now midnight spins the wheel and the cavalry comes up. Everybody's picking teams, and Zuko's actually getting a bunch of people going for him, but mostly class 1A because they know how strong he really is. Zuko's just thinking of the best plan to do this. So he kind of raised his hand and asked Midnight if he could do it by himself, because he really didn't want to choose a team. And Midnight said, nope, you're not getting out of this that easily. Pick a team. And Zuko said, oh, dang it. As he looks back, and some of them are getting offended by this and saying, wait, you think we're not going to be good enough in your team? As they are, well, basically saying it that way and making it more hurtful than it should be. And Zuko said, no, it's not that, but I think I'd be faster without you guys. My plan only works on speed, so raise your hand if you want to be in my team. As some of them are starting to hesitate. And Zuko said, fair warning, I'm not holding back. He's mentally saying, 50%. But they are starting to get scared because they know how strong he is. And Bakugo wants to go by himself. Toroki went by himself, and a few others went along with him. But the few that were there, Zuko said, okay, Momo, Uraka, who else? Tokoyami. As Tokoyami said, really? Okay. Where do you want me at? And Zuko said, didn't think of that. I have the 1,000,000 points. The slowest. Question. Do any of you know how to fight hand-to-hand combat? And they all said no. Said, oh, great. Okay. Momo, you'll be in the back left. Uraka will be in the back right. Tokoyami, you'll be in the front. Dark Shadow will be in the middle, guarding the two girls, both of them. And I'll be guarding the front. And Uraka, would you make everybody float and I'll help us fly? As he explained basically the rules and how to win the whole thing. So they basically agreed, and Momo decided to help out as well. Not exactly going against his plan, but helping. She makes some, well, jetpacks, as you may say, onto herself and one for Araka, and that'll be just enough. A very small jetpack, able to push basically a child, and this really helps for Chaco to, well, make it go higher and higher. Toroki doesn't mind it because he's basically a bird and he knows how it feels. Zuku sprang out his wings, but about a foot out, just for the heck of it. And it's enough to flap the wings and go higher and higher. And everybody sees Zuku at the very highest. He knows the limit and all the rules about this one game because, well, that's one of Nezu's favorite games. And he usually does it with Zuku and some other teachers. Anyway, Zuku, and well, the thing went off. Everybody's fighting, and they can barely see anybody up down there. And as well, they didn't look up, so well, this one was a boring match. Baku has tried to get all the way up there, but right when he gets close enough, Toroki threw his, well, Dark Shadow, pushing Bakugo back, which Bakugo tried to blow him off, but didn't work, and he got lost balance, lose control, and he almost got out of the ring. Toroki tried to throw some ice, but since his teammates would have been in the way and would have been covered by it, he decided not to do such a thing. And everything else, basically nothing works. Moving on to the next part. The time runs out. Everybody basically has the same points, more or less. Zuku, with everybody else, well, everybody's cheering but Zuku. He's just smirking, knowing that his plan worked perfectly. But he also says thank you to all the others. On using her quirk the most was Araka. He looks over to her and said, "Thank you for using your quirk, and I know I was almost at your limit," which Araka appreciates greatly. She feels nauseous, but she appreciates. He looks over to Toroki and says thank you about taking care of Bakugo. Which Dark Shadow came out and said, "Hey, that was me. He did nothing about that." And Zuko said, "Oh, right, forgot." He brings out his hand and shakes Dark Shadow's hand and said, "Thank you for helping me out." Which Dark Shadow feels fully grateful about this because, well, it's the first time anybody thinks of him as its own person. Which Tokinami just entertained the whole thing. And then back to Momo. He basically said, "Well, your idea with jetpacks was very useful." And that's basically it. Which Momo said, and Zuko said, "That's it, I can't think of anything else." And she said, "Oh, okay, thank you." Zuko said, "Yeah, kind of awkward, yeah, I know." As the announcement said, they're gonna have a lunch hour break, so everybody takes their time on their break. Zuko said, "Hey, okay. Momo, you wanna go get some more coffee?" As Momo greatly appreciates this moment and said, "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." And Zuko said, okay, I'll just bring the coffee. What kind of drink do you like? And she said, whatever you prefer, I'll take that. And Zuko said, okay. as he walks away, going over and exiting to his favorite room, getting his coffee packet and his supplies to make the coffee, as well as his food and bento. He went over to the area where everybody is basically eating food, and Momo's just sitting there with basically her friends, and she's just waiting for Zuku. She actually made an empty spot right next to her. Someone tried to sit there, but Momo told them to go somewhere else, and that's for Zuku. They said, "Oh, okay," and leaves. Now, moving on, Zuku comes back with his food and his supplies for his coffee. As he starts to make his coffee the way that he likes it the best. And Momo's watching him make the coffee himself. And it's very interesting. And then Zuku asked Toroki if he could heat up the coffee. Toroki said, "Are you giving me some coffee too?" And Zuko said, "Yes, of course." So he does. Heats up the coffee. He makes it in the way that Tokyo Ghoul has done it in many ways. And he just put 2 cubes of sugar on each of them. About some creamer on Toroki's and Momo's. And gave it to them. Gave it to their, Momo and Toroki. And Zuko took his mug, sip on it, as he opened up his bento and start eating his food. Momo is very interested on how good this coffee is because she looks over to Zuku and him fully enjoying his food. As well, she looks over to Toroki. Toroki is drinking his coffee, and she never seen him actually relax. She almost saw a smile, almost, but not yet. So she grabbed the mug, took a sip, and she kind of yelps in excitement. And she's starting to chug down the whole thing. And Zuku looks over, and Toroki looks over, and said, Zuku said, "Momo." As Momo was about to finish the whole thing, and she looks over and said, she drinks the whole thing. Said, "Yes." Zuku said, "I don't get." Coffee was meant to enjoy, not to gulp down in one setting. As Momo said, "Oh, I'm sorry. It was so good, and I just couldn't let it go to waste. And it was almost perfect. If it was, Momo's freaking out, trying to apologize to Zuku on how rude this might have looked, and Zuko said, "It's fine. Next time, slow it down, okay? It tastes better at a certain point when it cools down." Momo said, "Okay, I'll take that. Can you make another one?" And she looks over to Zuko with pleading eyes. Zuko looks over and said, "No. I only have made enough for 3. And I was originally gonna give it to Nezu and Aizawa." Which Toroki said, "Well, thank you for the coffee." As Momo said, yeah, thank you for the drinks." She kind of blushes and looks away as she's eating her food. Zuko eats his food, enjoying his meal and his drink. Moving on to the next scene, everybody, they were told it will be a tournament on who's going against who. Everything is the same. Zuku comes out and he noticed that he's fighting against Shinso. I hope I'm saying it correctly. The purple hair guy. As they both get up there, Shinso tried to talk about smack about his, teammates, anybody that basically tried to make him mad. And he said some really rude stuff about the tail guy. And the tail guy told Zuku or warned him about this guy's quirk. And Zuku took it to heart. Thanks him and in the match. Zuku started to crack his knuckles, but in a way in Tokyo with one thumb down the finger and popping it. As he kept walking closer and closer until the last one popped. Oop, can't pop that one. Because at this time, the match had already started, and he was just waiting for, Shinso to actually throw a punch. But since Shinso was trying to make him talk this whole time, learned Zuku basically sign language towards Shinso that he is not gonna speak. And it's a movement that basically everybody can tell that he's not gonna talk. Which Shinso is very pissed about and start running towards Zuku. They finally meet in the middle, and Zuku dodged the first punch, grabbed onto the other punch that he was wheeling up, grabbed it, turned around, slammed him down in the, concrete, made him actually spit out some blood from his mouth. Zuku grabbed him again, and this time twirled him around once, twice, 3 times, and threw him over to the other side. Basically getting him knocked out of the ring. Shinso can't do anything because he got pushed out, and that was the fastest match they ever seen. They somewhat cheered but also booed because it was such a fast match, which Zuku does not care and walks off the stage. Shinso tried to say something, and Zuku just looks over to him and asks, your quirk could have been very useful for the policeman. Why not be like that? Or even a interrogator instead of being a hero. As he walks away. Shinso don't know what to say because, he doesn't know because he got beaten by him and yet was helped by him. And he's starting to think if he could be one of those jobs that he said. I can't say them correctly, so that's why I'm saying it only once. Moving on, everybody has their fight, and Zuku sees how Bakugo is fighting against Uraraka, and some of them in the crowd are talking about how they're fighting, and Zuku's getting real pissed by this. He sees that Bakugo is actually fighting against Uraraka respectfully and knowing that she can actually take some damage, and he knows the whole plan because he looked up. He's not stupid. He looks up and see what's her full plan. As he was about to yell out and try to tell those heroes to shut the hell up, Aizawa came by and told them himself. Zuku appreciates this, and he was sitting down, but some of his classmates are trying to talk about how messed up this whole thing is, which Zuku said, so you want him to hold back on her? And they said, no, but he's going way too far on this. And Zuku said, if she was going against a villain, you want them to go easy on her? Or what? And they said, well, it's not like, but this is different, right? We're classmates, we're not supposed to go. And Zuko said, we are here to show our quirk, how powerful our abilities are. If you can't see that, you really need to pay attention in class. Anyway, look up. And they said, well, look up, as they looked up and see what's going on. Which Momo was surprised that Uraga has a plan like this, and also surprised that Zuko saw what her plan was doing, what she was doing. As they're about to yell out to watch out, but Zuko said, hey, let her be. As they do. Actually, sorry. I'm in the parking lot and there's a truck. It's purple, has lights under it. It's one of the first time I actually see a lifted truck and they're pushing it back down. It's just weird to me. It's not even like a fancy truck, it's just a regular truck. Oh, sorry, back into the story. It's 8:49:50. I can keep going. And, well, Oraka took her and told her speech and released all of the rubble as everybody else in the crowd is watching a bunch of rocks falling down onto Bakugo as Bakugo throwing huge explosions towards the whole thing, making sure to, and it made a huge smoke, mist, basically, on the whole ring. And when the dust has finally settled, it shows Uraka passed out on the ground. And Bakugo is just standing there in a stance, just waiting for something to happen again. As Uraka stands back up, and everybody is starting to cheer. But when she started running and he started running, she took 2 steps. But Bakugo stopped and see her falling once again. Bakugo, with his arm twitching, raised his fist up as the announcer said Katsuki Bakugo has won this match. After a few seconds, Bakugo actually went over to Uraka, flipped her over on her back, and checked if she was okay. Put her hands on her, crossing them out as he waits for the medics, helping her and going on there. Which everybody was shocked by this. Even Zuko, he did not expect this at all. As they take her to Recovery Girl as well as Bakugo go to Recovery Girl. And the next fight comes up. Toroki and Zuku. Let's see how this fight goes. Here we go. Toroki is already very close to there, and Zuku is getting there. He said, wish me luck, I guess, as he goes down there. They saw the, huge iceberg that Toroki made with Zero, and thinks that Zuku's going to deal with the same thing, that he's going to lose. But when Zuku was getting close to the entrance of the stadium, of the fighting ring, he was rudely pushed to the wall because he didn't really care as much, and see that it was Endeavor, which Zuko did not really like. the hero himself, which Endeavor and tells Zuku, and he says this, I'm telling you, kid, to make my son use his fire quirk. I don't care if you're gonna go overboard or not. Make sure he used it. And that's an order. And Zuku said, what? He was walking away during this whole time because he did not care for what, well, Endeavor says. And he was cracking his neck, getting ready for the fight. But when he was told what to do, he looks over to Endeavor and said, what did you say to me? As Endeavor said it again. And Zuko said, no. Did you say that was an order? And Endeavor said, yes. You are just a child. You need to take... I'm getting a little frustrated because I can't think of the right way to say this. You must respect your elders and do what I have said. Now go out there and fight my son until he uses his fire quirk. I don't care what will happen to you, as long as he uses his fire. Zuko said, that's what you meant. And if I don't, what will you do? As Endeavor raise the heat to very extreme temperatures, to a point where it's starting to melt the concrete itself. And Zuko sees this and said, "Aw, how cute." As he walks closer and closer, usually people start to faint or even start to sweat extremely, but Zuko is not. He's not like other people. And Endeavor starts to get a little scared of Zuko, and Zuko gets real close. He brings out his two tails, makes sure he was up high enough where he face to face with Endeavor. And, well, he brings out another tail, pointing it right at Endeavor's face, and said, "I can and will make you regret using that force, using that tone with me. If this happens again." And he put his tails back and started walking away. Not fast, very slowly. And when he was at the edge of the area, he said, "You will live to regret that day." Which Endeavor is very pissed about. That some kid thinks he can actually take the number 2 hero, the greatest fire hero in the world. So Endeavor, in rage, wants to throw a punch, but right when he did, his punch, some reason, basically, moved out of the way into the wall, seemingly hitting its target, but not really. And Zuko goes on to the field. He looks all around and looks over to Toroki, as Toroki has this very stone cold face that not caring about anything, and that just reminds him of Endeavor, which kind of pissed him off. He gets ready and asks Toroki if he's okay, as Toroki is not saying anything. Zuko said, "Hey, I don't like being ignored. Are you okay?" As Toroki is not saying anything. Zuko said, "Okay." It's been a while since I used this one. As the bell rang, Toroki was just waiting for Zuko because he kind of knows what Zuko is, how he fights. And Zuko said, "Hey, Ray's son, are you okay?" That ticked him off. Toroki only told one person on whose his mother's real name is. And, well, that was Zuku. Zuku asked him, "Can you hear me, Endeavor's son?" That kind of pissed him off. So much so that he threw a huge glacier of ice over to Zuku, and Zuku threw out his one tail, knowing full well that he can take it with just one tail. He used it, jumping all around, whipping the floor, and attacking Toroki as he grabs onto Toroki with his one tail and fleeing him all the way over to the other side. And kept doing this, as well as Toroki kept throwing glaciers of ice towards Zuku. Zuku, having enough of this, actually used his tail and spun it fast enough to a point where it slashed the ice itself, somewhat melting it, but enough where he is going right through it. All the ice that Toroki is throwing at him is somewhat disappearing like nothing. Zuku is basically throwing huge blasts of wind and pressure with his tail to a point where it's shattering in pieces. The temperature is getting colder and colder. Zuku can feel this but doesn't care. But Toroki is starting to freeze over on his right side. Yeah, right side. Zuku, by this point, actually grabbed onto Toroki as Toroki tried to freeze over this very tail, which is starting to hurt Zuku, and Zuku kind of yelled out in pain, but just enough for Toroki to hear. It said, "Toroki, who are you?" Toroki thinks this is a stupid question and just said, "I'm Toroki. I'm as he finally remembers that in the beginning of the match, Zuku said Rei Toroki. And Zuku asks him again, "Who are you? Are you that bastard of a son? Or are you that woman, mother, a son?" He trips his words. Of course he does. Sorry, me. And Toroki is in confusion because they both are, but he just can't accept that. Zuku taking this chance, breaking the ice that was over his tail, making it twice as big, and tightening around Toroki. And Toroki is starting to feel the pain of getting crushed. And Toroki does not want to get crushed. He throws out more ice. And Zuku said, "No, that's not going to work on me. You know this. That never works on me." And he's throw Toroki back and forth on the right side to the left side every single time, not letting go, just smashing him like a rag doll. And Toroki is getting real tired of this, and he finally breaks, throwing out a huge amount of heat, burning Zuku's tail, where it started to charcoal to be, well, first it was showing red the whole time. Now it's showing black, and Zuku can take the pain. But when Toroki starts to raise the temperature, and Zuku can't take it anymore, so he let go at mid-swing, making Toroki go all the way to the edge of the arena. Toroki making a glacier of ice to protect himself. And Toroki is getting ready for a huge fire attack. And Zuku, on the other side, basically sprout out not his wings, but his armor. He brought out his shield and said, "Come on, Toroki, let's do it." As Toroki threw a huge blast of fire into Zuku's direction. The temperature extremely shockwave turned into heat. The whole area is starting to make a huge explosion, and Zuku knows what was going to happen. What's going to happen, because he's a genius, and he turned his shield into spikes and stick them into the ground. As he was pushed back by the explosion itself, and everybody else was pushed back into their seats. Toroki, he was pushed back and using the wall of ice, going further and further back until it was hitting the edge. Zuku, after that initial shock, moved in incredible speeds, with the whole stadium covered in dust and mist. Zuku used his wings fully spread out like this and start firing feathers of flames towards Toroki to a point where it breaks every single ice that was holding him in place, breaking it all. And Zuku start whipping around, undertaking his wings and bring out a tail, whipping on Toroki on the stomach enough to push him over to the edge and hitting the wall on the other side, somewhat making an indent. But when that finally happened, Zuku is on the stadium, on his knees with his tail out, showing black and red. Basically like these. As the dust finally settles, it's surrounding him first, saying that he is still in the stadium, in the arena. As everything was settled, they are looking for Toroki. As they see Toroki on the wall, out of bounds, and that's when they call Zuku Midoriya wins. Oh, sorry. After that initial has happened, Zuku finally gets back up after a few seconds, walks over to Toroki, and basically check if he was okay, which he's not. He is fully passed out. As the robots came by and picked him up, Zuku asked the robots if they could take him too. As they say no, he's too heavy. Zuku knows about these robots and how annoying they really are. Did not care, and just lay on top of one of the robots. As they are struggling to get him off but not to drop the patient, they slowly went over to Recovery Girl. Zuku finally get off, showing that everybody in the whole stadium that he is not that strong. But right when he was at the entrance of Recovery Girl's office, he stood right back up, and Toroki was taken in. Recovery Girl sees Zuku and just tell him to be careful and not overdo it, which Zuku said, "Yeah, I know. And do you have any water to wash this thing down?" As Recovery Girl said, "Yes, I do." And she just threw a water bottle at him. He caught it with his tail, said, "Well, thank you," and he walks away. He breaks, he kind of rips a part of his skin, of basically his palm, with his nails basically long enough to dig into his skin and rip it off. He threw his own flesh into the trash can as he starts to drink the blood. As it finally gets down to his throat and swallows it, the wounds and, burns that Toroki done to Zuku are starting to heal up. But Zuku knows that this is not enough, so he drinks the rest of the water. He needs the nutrients and his own flesh to actually heal completely. He does not want to take a finger off because, well, he doesn't know if anybody was coming through the hallway. As he finally regrows his hand to a little point, what do he see but Bakugo? Bakugo is just waiting in his seat, not on the stadium, but his own seat, waiting for the next call-in, as he sees Zuku walking in through the door. And Zuku said, I'm guessing I'm going against you next. And Bakugo said, no, I'm going to go against Bird Brain, and then you. Zuko said, alright, just don't keep me waiting. He sits down and just lays his head on the table as he's fast asleep. That took a lot of energy out of him. Now, moving on. Bakugo has already done his first match. All the others are done. And now the last announcement. They're going to be taking a 30-minute break. And then the last match of Zuku Midoriya and Bakugo Katsuki on the last round to be the victor and be the victory of this whole sports festival. Everybody takes their break as Bakugo was in the recovery girl getting taken care of. What do they see in the room? But Zuku fast asleep. Actually not snoring, but more in a cute way, where he's just somewhat smiling, which really creeps some of them out because they never saw him smile before. But Momo took this chance and pulled out her phone and took a picture. Multiple. After that was done, some of the girls asked Momo to send it to the girls' chat for they can have it too. Which Momo said, fine, okay, sending it out, but keeping the one of her favorites. As she sits right next to Zuko and just wait for him to wake up. As when it turned 29 minutes, Zuko shook himself awake. Shocking. I know. He looks around and said, oh, okay, I didn't miss the match. How long until I fight against Bakugo? They say 1 minute, as everybody was basically leaving to get to take their seats because they know this match is not going to be a boring one. They're just getting ready and they're starting to make bets as they were leaving. Momo asked him if he's really okay. We can ask the announcer to wait a little longer, which Zuko said, no need. I'm just thought of a plan that will be perfect. And Momo said, really? Do tell. Can you please tell me how you're going to win against Bakugo? And Zuko said, shh. Still tired. Don't like loud noises. Basically saying, that's for me to know and for you to find out. As he gets up and walks over to the arena, which Momo is just sitting there somewhat curious, but mostly excited to see what he is gonna do. He gets over to his to the ring. Bakugo's standing there and Zuko standing there. They're just waiting for the announcement, and there's cold silence throughout the whole arena. Nobody knowing what to do. Their classmates are the only one screaming and yelling Go Bakugo, and go Zuku, take him down, no holding back, all of this stuff, which started to scare the other class rooms on how bad this fight might actually be. Just seeing Toroki against Zuku, and now Bakugo against him. All of Bakugo's fights were somewhat average. As well, Bakugo's getting irritated because President Mike is saying basically all of this, that Bakugo is showing average moves and Zuku is showing extreme pro-like moves in just the first year. Basically pissing off Bakugo even more. And President Mike knows this because he was told afterwards to make sure that they both get pissed off. Zuku's very impossible to piss off, but Bakugo's basically easy. And Aizawa basically tells him what to do on how to piss him off. As it was going, it was a countdown, the first of many, because everybody else was basically saying go. But for this last fight, everybody was on their edge of their seats just to wait for the huge thing to go on. It goes from 5, 4, 3. Zuku gets ready. He goes into a position. 2. Bakugo is getting his explosion heating up into his palms to make sure he is at his fastest peak. 2, 1. Go. Everybody was thinking that something broke off, but right when it said go, Bakugo went in a huge explosion, a explosion of speed from one area to the next in a very short amount of time. Zuku actually taking a stance, not using any of his powers, just waiting for Bakugo since he knew what Bakugo was planning. He grabbed onto Bakugo, throwing a huge palm strike at Zuku's face with no hesitation, just to end it all in this fell swoop. Zuku took this chance. He actually did not block it at all. To the very second, he took the full brunt of the force of Bakugo's explosion. And at that moment, he grabbed onto Bakugo's wrist, pulled him in, flipping him over, swinging him down, and basically swing his tail enough force into Bakugo's back and pushing him out of the ring. And everybody in shock and awe. In that split second, it was only 3 seconds, and they saw the whole match end. They're like, what just happened? And they need to do a replay on that move, as they do over and over again. And every time they need to go slower to know what just happened. And they finally see it in the perfect speed. 10 times slower than the original, making it 10 minutes, but basically 3 seconds. It shows that Bakugo, when he's basically what I just said, Bakugo uses as much explosions as fast as he can towards Zuku. Zuku was standing there still, cool and calm, and just move his arm slowly, and in a very weird position until Bakugo meets him. And Zuku grabbed onto Bakugo's wrist with no hesitation. The huge explosion again onto Zuku's face. And finally, the rest. As this was going on, some of them are looking down and watching Zuku's, the mist finally settling down. and they are not paying attention to the video anymore. They're more interested on the kid. He took the huge blast of explosion onto the face, and they think that kid just killed another kid. As Zuku's, it shows a part showing flesh off of his skin. It shows his eye, bare eye on his left. Okay, half of his face is fully come off, which the other half is scraped and somewhat burned, as they're starting to scream and telling that he's disqualified, he should never be a hero and all of that, which Bakugo is fully passed out. He is down for the count because that was too much force in one go. And then Zuku covered up his face. At this moment, he used his pinky. He raised his left hand to cover his face, put his pinky in his mouth, and crushed it. Ate it. Swallowed it. In a few seconds, and the classroom actually saw his face. And they were terrified. They think Bakugo has really tried to kill him. And Momo is the only one. Well, and Toroki too, but he doesn't know the full extent. He knows that he can heal from that, but she doesn't know how exactly. She just thinks that he needs a lot of food. She hurry and rushed and try to tell everybody he needs more food. He needs to get more food, more nutrients, anything, everything. He needs to be alive. He has to be. He can't be hurt that easily. And she's freaking out as everybody's trying to calm her down. And the second they look away, Zuku brought up his face as he looks to everybody else and removing his hand, hiding the missing finger, and said, what are you guys talking about? As to everybody's shock and the whole stadium saying, what the hell? Because they see a full, clean face with no scarring. Somewhat scratches, but not, and they're slowly being healed by that part too. And this fast acting healing, because Zuku's focused on that one part, not throughout his whole body. As it finally heals his finger, he just raised his fist and said, I have beaten the number one. Which everybody basically forget what they just saw and just cheer, because they were very excited and they're somewhat happy about the full outcome. Sadly, not seeing the full effect of his quirk, but they were happy either way. Now, sorry, I'm just so tired. Oh my god. What was I? Okay. Now, after everything, everybody finally leaving and going home, and most of the classmates are going home as well, Bakugo finally awakens, and he looks to his right and left, and he sees Zuku standing there, just waiting for him to wake up. Said, hey. Bakugo said, what happened? As he touched his head and starting to try to remember what happened, Zuko said, oh, there's a video that would be perfect for this. As Zuko showed him a video, and it's very slow, where Bakugo can remember doing that. And when he threw the first explosion to Zuko's face, he blacked out. And when he sees the rest, said, what? There's no way How the fuck did you can why? And Zuko said, calm down. It's not that hard to read your fighting style. It was too easy. I know that you always go for the right hook, open palm into somebody's face, no matter what. And basically, the announcements basically piss you off enough to not think of anything else. That's it. Your fighting style was so predictable that I didn't not have to think on what is the next step. That was my whole fucking plan. And Baku said, damn. I need to train some more. And Zuko said, yeah, but you need to train on your fighting. Not just your own, but actually get some more martial arts. I can tell you a few that would actually help you on your hand-to-hand footwork and full body workout. It might actually help you with your quirk itself. And Baku said, and why are you helping me now? I just declared war on you and tried to kill you, and you fucking beat me. Why do you have to be so like this? Zuko said, well, I want a good fight. You're the closest thing I have gone to a closest fight other than Toroki. If you just work harder and maybe make some friends, one day you might, as he's starting to say, maybe beat me at my weakest form. Which Bakugo said, oh yeah? Just watch me. I'll beat you in your fullest potential, highest whatever, just to beat you down and shut you up. And Zuko said, great. Can't wait to see you do that. And he leaves. And he also said, oh, one more thing. I'm sending that on YouTube. That'll be a fun show to watch. I'm going to be famous. As he walks away, lying about the whole thing, as Bakugo said, I'm going to be watching that forever now. What else? They skip a few days. Since it was on the weekend, Zuko took a break and just sent a bunch of martial arts that Bakugo needs to know. Bakugo took about 3 of them, nothing else. He doesn't need the other 5. Now, Zuko knows that he only took 3 because, well, Bakugo is Bakugo, and he wants to try his best with whoever. So he intentionally just gave him the best 3, and then the others that no one ever heard of. Now, moving on to the classroom. Everybody's sitting down, congratulating, talking about their experience outside of school and how everybody recognized them. As one person saying, and everybody keeps telling me a nice try. And he just can't take it anymore. It's too much. Which Toroki said, yeah, sorry about that. And Sarah said, no, it's no problem. It's just, that was a little bit too much. At least giving me a chance next year. Toroki said, yeah, maybe. As the teacher finally comes in, tells everybody to sit down, be quiet, and talk about what has happened. He shows the, rankings on how many internships everybody gets. Zuko getting the most since he won basically everything. Bakugo second, Toroki third, everybody else still all the way to the bottom. Ida, being still the same, will choose Manu. But everybody's starting to losing my path. Aizawa tells everybody to prepare their names. Everybody needs their hero names. But since I'm not as great as I don't care for, Midnight will be taking over as he goes straight to sleep. Zuku, knowing that Aizawa is somewhat pissed and basically trying to make sure that he at least gets something out of this, he tells Zuku, "Where's my coffee?" Which Zuku said, I forgot. Which everybody knows he's lying. And, as well, Aizawa said, "No, where's my coffee?" Zuku said, you see, it was like this. As he explained that he basically gives the last two to someone else. And, wow. Aizawa said, "Well, I guess I'm not getting my afternoon coffee anymore." Zuko said, "Yeah, that's the best I can do." And that gave him a grumpy mood. Which, after that happened and they're waiting for Midnight to come by, Toroki asked Zuku about the coffee thing. "Is that really true that you don't have any more?" And Zuko said, "Yeah, you know how I said that was for Nezu and Aizawa? I meant for today, not, for lunch." And they said, "Oh, that makes more sense. Do we get in trouble if we tell him that?" And Zuko said, "Yes, for sure. No doubt. You guys are lucky that he didn't ask for more." And they said, Uraka's Momo's very scared of getting expelled. And dang it. Toroki said, "Oh, damn. It was good coffee." And Zuko said, "I know, right? I guess I should order for more." Momo asked him, what type of coffee it is, for she can get some. Zuko said, sure, but yeah, sure. I'll tell you what the type it is. It's not even the most expensive or even the most hardest to find, like Momo was expecting. And Toroki was shocked as too, that it was some average, small, not even well known throughout the whole world, just small countries. Zuko says the Pacific name, brand, year, everything, to the very T of ingredients that goes with it, and said that's where it comes from. Momo said, And how do you know this?" And he was about to explain more, because coffee is the only good thing about him. But Midnight finally comes by, telling everybody to sit down and think of a hero name for everybody. It needs to be short, sweet, and perfect for now and for you in the future. As everybody goes up, saying their names and going and going. Everybody is very creative, but 3 people are not. Bakugo, Ida, Toroki. As the last person is Zuku, and Zuku was more thinking about the coffee and maybe trying different types. As he looks up and feels everybody staring and looks around saying, "What?" As Midnight saying, "And what's your name?" Zuko said, "Zuku Midoriya." She said, No, I mean your hero name." And Zuko said, Oh. How about Ghoul?" She said, "Ghoul." Zuko said, "Yeah, it's Ghoul. Ghoul." the night of darkness. And she said, much better. Especially the night. You're trying to match me or something? Zuko said, no, it sounds better that way. Which meant I said, okay. Your name is Ghoul. Yeah, it's a very good name. As everybody's finally leaving. Well, actually, midnight finally leaves. Aizawa wakes up, tells everybody about their package and they must choose a hero agency. Everybody chose their own. Same thing as everybody else. But Zuku was basically marked them all in red and just leave it on his table, which Aizawa already knows what he's gonna be doing. Everybody finally getting out of school, everybody saying bye and seeing each other later, but they're all going to their hero agencies. Zuku going over to Nezu and asking him where is he going first. As Nezu gives him all of his assignments and missions that he needs to complete at the end of this internship. Zuko takes the packet, looks it over, and said, oh, I figured as much. Am I just doing like 1 day or an hour? As Nezu said, 1 day for each and every one of them. And the internship will last about 1, 2, 3, a whole month instead of 2 weeks. For my reasons. You will know in the next part. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day, and I hope you enjoy. Bye.